I haven't seen sunlight in a couple of months. I don't even know if the sun is there anymore. Life as I knew it, it's gone. I survived until now thanks to some cans I managed to save. When they came, chaos ensued. My first thought, they were friendly, but it turned out that it was just a disguise. Their real appearance was shown to us about a week or two after their arrival. You may wonder what happened. I don't know when you are going to read this letter, but what I'm about to tell you happened around 2023. The pandemic was almost gone. We were all good and well. The vaccine didn't work at first, but the scientists found a way to cure the virus. No one was dying anymore. Everyone started to regain their lives back. We all went through hard times, but we bounced back stronger than ever. All you could see on the street, on TV, were smiles. It was like a huge weight was lifted from our shoulders. The economy started to bounce back. Business started to flourish. We didn't have to worry about food anymore. We didn't have to worry about getting sick or getting one of our family members sick. Our mental clarity came back. Our hope came back. But unfortunately, it didn't last long. Actually, it lasted about 2 years. Enough time so we could forget what we went through. We were all content and happy. But then, they arrived. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was just getting out of work and heading towards my car. I don't know why, but I had a really good feeling about the rest of the day. As I entered my car and turned on the engine, the radio started bugging out. It was just static. I tried to change the station, but nothing else happened. I was too happy to let that affect me, so I didn't give it another thought. I started driving home and noticed that my phone didn't have a signal. I put it on airplane mode and then deactivated it, but that didn't do anything. I shut down my phone, reopened it, but that didn't work. I put it back in my pocket, focused on the road. As I was approaching a red light, I noticed that it turned green, then yellow, and then green again before turning red, and then all 3 lights started flashing. I assumed that it was just faulty. I took a left, I looked right, and then went on my way. As I was approaching my house, I knew it was something else. The lights in my car would go away and on and off. They were flickering like crazy, but I was just a couple of blocks away from my driveway. As I turned the corner, I pressed on the brakes, but the car just wouldn't slow down. I pressed repeatedly, and finally, the light in my car stopped flickering, and my brakes worked at exactly the last moment before I hit my garage door. What the hell happened? I said to myself before opening my car door. As I walked towards the front door, my daughter came to greet me. Daddy, the lights aren't working," she said. Well, come on inside and we'll check it out. We went inside and my wife was fiddling with the electrical panel. What's going on? I asked her while I hung my jacket in the hallway. I don't know. All of a sudden the lights started flickering. I wanted to call you, but I didn't have any reception, she told me after turning around. I took a look at the panel, but nothing was wrong. Fortunately, my phone had a signal, so I called the electric company. Hello. I have a problem with, I told them, but they cut me off before I could finish my sentence. I know, sir. We've been getting hundreds of calls. It's happening all over the country. We don't know what's going on. We are trying the best we can so we can remedy the problem. You will get notified when the problem will be fixed, they said. All of a sudden, it got dark outside. I went into my front yard and saw that many of my neighbors did the same. Hey, what's going on? I asked Jack, my next-door neighbor. I have no idea. It's barely 5 p.m. It shouldn't have been so dark already, Jack replied. We were all watching the sky. Dark clouds were filling it. We had no idea what was going on. All of a sudden, the wind started picking up. It seemed like a tornado was about to hit, but that was far from the truth. Bolts of lightning started to appear in the sky, but they were no ordinary balls of lightning. They were red. Blood red. Everybody started freaking out. We didn't know how to react, so we went back inside our houses. The power came on, and my wife thought it would be a good idea to turn on the news. She was right. Stay calm. We are invaded by extraterrestrial life forms. The military is doing its best. Stay inside your homes until further notice. This was the message that appeared on all of the channels on TV. We stayed inside and waited for further instructions. About an hour or two later, the skies cleared up. Everything seemed to be getting back to normal, but we still didn't get any update when it came to the extraterrestrials. All the TV channels were still broadcasting the same message from earlier that day. I'm scared, Daddy. Is everything going to be okay? My daughter asked me as she came out of her room. Yeah, baby, everything will be just fine. Come here, I told her before giving her a big hug. But the problem was that I didn't know what was going on. I had to reassure her, even though I was just as scared. After about a half an hour, the message on the TV changed. We've made contact with extraterrestrials. It's a historic day for us, the human race. Don't be afraid, everything is just fine. Resume your daily activities without concern. The message was reassuring for sure, but we still didn't know why or what will happen. Why did they visit us? Why did they come to our planet? What was their purpose? And were they dangerous? For the next couple of weeks, maybe even a month, that's all everyone talked about. Aliens were on our planet, and they weren't dangerous. We were informed by the government that they will share with us knowledge about space travel, knowledge about the meaning of life, and knowledge about the creation of life on Earth. Soon after that, we began seeing them on TV. They looked similar to the ones we've seen in movies. Big heads, big eyes, and skinny bodies. They didn't look threatening at all. In fact, many people on the street would pick on them. And they wouldn't do anything. Of course, they were the superior life form, as I understood it, but still. There was something off about those aliens roaming around the streets. For some time after that, we've all gotten accustomed to them. They wouldn't do anything, just walk and look at things. They spoke a different language, of course, something that sounded more like clicks or something. So you couldn't just go up to one of them and ask how his day was going. Another chunk of time passed. It seemed that we were going to be stuck with these aliens on our planet, but the good thing was they were peaceful. Well, that sentiment didn't take long. People started to notice different machines at the base of mountains, and some were going in and coming out of the ocean. The government told us that everything is fine and they were just exploring our planet, but people didn't see it that way. And maybe the ones in charge told us that in order not to cause a riot. Nevertheless, riots started. Humans saw that the aliens used those machines to steal our resources. They used them to drain our planet of any vital mineral it had. Then, in no time, the riots became more and more violent. People were taking the aliens they saw on the street hostage. They would throw rocks at them and all sorts of things. Daddy, when is this war going to end? My daughter asked me one night. But I couldn't lie to her anymore. I couldn't say that everything is fine because it wasn't. A tear came down from my eye, and she used her little hand to wipe it off. It seemed that we were living in a fantasy scenario, one that you'd only seen in movies. One day, on November 13th, our entire world got turned upside down. the same as it started. In the afternoon, the sky got dark. The sun was blocked by some dark cloud that didn't seem natural at all, and red lightning flooded the sky. A deafening sound, similar to an alarm, could be heard. It was so powerful that it broke one of the windows of our house. The kids were covering their ears, and my wife was holding them tight. The TV program stopped. We received another announcement. A reporter in the middle of a big city was telling us that a war had begun. We should stay clear of the aliens, as they would want to attack us, ultimately take our lives. And another aspect, he added, was that they had changed their appearance. They didn't look like the typical aliens we got accustomed to. They grew in size, measuring over 7 feet tall, having a pale red complexion. One spear-like member was attached to their backs, just like a scorpion. Their left arms have also morphed into a sharp claw, and their right arm transformed into a scythe, which would stay raised over their head. And speaking of the head, 2 giant fangs coming down from their cheeks all the way to where their jaws should be. Glowing red eyes replaced the big black ones they had before. The aliens looked more like a zombie when it comes to the body. It looked like their insides were showing. One of the legs turned into some sort of a stump, covered in red bools, and the other one was facing in, making it look like they would have difficulties walking. But we shouldn't be fooled. They are fast, and most of all, deadly. Then, after the announcement, the broadcast ended, being replaced by static. I didn't know what to think after that vivid description. I couldn't imagine them based on the words I heard, but I knew one thing. I needed to keep my family safe. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Even though I boarded up the house and got my hands on as many provisions as I could so that we wouldn't have to leave the safety of our home, disaster struck a couple of days later. Me and my family were sleeping when all of a sudden I got woken up by one of my neighbors screaming at the top of his lungs. I got out of bed and looked out the window. What I saw left me speechless. It was a 7-foot beast that held up my impaled neighbor with its spear of a hand. The sharp end went right through my neighbor, blood spilling all over the alien's club foot. It didn't take long, and the screaming stopped. My neighbor was dead. Adrenaline was pumping through my veins. I knew that I had to protect my kids and my wife, so I grabbed my gun and woke them up quietly. I then went with them to the basement so that they can be safe. It didn't take long to hear noises coming from upstairs. An alien broke into the house. The tension was unbearable. We all tried to stay as quiet as we could, but I guess the alien could sense us or something, because in a couple of seconds, it broke the basement door into pieces and jumped over the stairs, landing on the floor next to us. I shot my gun at it, told my family to run. "Go, now!" I yelled, and my wife grabbed our kids and ran up the stairs. The alien got pissed off and used its scythe-like arm to cut the barrel of my gun in half. Then it hit me with its left leg. I flew across the basement, stopping when I hit the brick wall. I passed out because I couldn't remember anything before. I woke up. "Kids! Martha! Where are you?" I said after opening my eyes. I had intense pain in my solar plexus, and I struggled to get up off the floor. I checked myself and was relieved when I didn't see any blood. But right after that, I coughed in my hand, and sure enough, I had some sort of internal bleeding. I didn't have time to worry about that. I needed to find my wife and kids. They weren't in the basement, so I ran upstairs as fast as I could, taking into consideration the condition I was in. As I got to the living room, I fell to my knees. I burst out in tears, and I put my hands over my eyes. My entire family was lying on the floor in a puddle of their own blood. They were stabbed by that alien, killing them in cold blood. I heard someone coughing. I ran up to them and saw that my son was still alive. "Hang on, buddy. You're going to be all right," I said while holding him in my arms. But I was seeing the light in his eyes slowly disappear. "I'm scared," the little one told me, grabbing my arm with the last ounce of strength he had left. I told him that he was going to make it, and I hugged my son until he exhaled his last breath. I screamed, vowing that I will get revenge. I lost everything. At that moment, my life was over. I was only a shell of myself. Fast forward, and here I am, as I said at the beginning. I'm hiding underground. The world is over as we all knew it. There are not many humans left, and the ones that are still alive are hiding just like me. The aliens took over our planet and nearly left it without any resources. I just hope that something might happen, but I'm slowly losing my strength. I don't know how much time I have left.